development in Latin America. This is a very 7-year story, which begins, in fact, in Rio de Janeiro in November 2004, with an international event where the first idea of a European Latin American project was thinking about. This story, we have 3 steps. The first one was the ILA project, a 2-year project, with 21 member institutions, is one from Mexico. It was UNAM, the pioneer. Then we had to build a bridge between infrastructure in Europe and Latin America to create collaboration network to deploy applications, and in parallel to care of training in grid, to disseminate the grid technology and outreach. Then we have a very well, it was a successful project acknowledged by the European Commission. Then we decided to present another one, ILA2, another 2-year project, but it was much more bigger, not in financial terms, but the number of institutions. We had, from 21 institutions, we jumped to 78 institutions, and instead of having in Mexico only one institution, UNAM, we had 8 participants: UNAM, CISES, SIC, IPN, CUDI, ITES, OIM, UMSNH, and UNISON. And these institutions were introduced thanks to the Joint Research Unit concept that has been introduced and, let's say, imposed by the European Commission. And currently, this GRLU in Mexico is under the care of UNAM, and hopefully will transform itself in a national grid initiative. Now we are in the 3rd phase, is the GISELAP objectives and goals. Following the excellent results, we decided to submit one more project to ensure the long-term sustainability of the infrastructure in the Latin American continent, to provide a full support to virtual research communities spanning Latin America and Europe using the infrastructure. Then we are focusing on 2 interrelated goals. We are currently implementing a sustainability model rooted on national grid initiatives in association with CLARA, National Research and Education Networks, and collaborating with the European Grid Initiative. We are also providing the communities with the suited infrastructure and application-related service required to improve the effectiveness of their research. This addresses both the current ILA2 user community, whose research investigation are carried out at institutional level or small collaboration, and the larger virtual research community as life science, earth science, energy physics, etc. About the countries and partners, we are currently 15 countries, of which 11 in Latin America. 19 partners is a smaller project, and 12 third parties are being incorporated in Latin America. In Mexico, UNAM, one of the 2 Mexican institutions in Gisela, UNAM has 6 third parties: CISES, ITD, ITES, IPN, SIC, OIM, and UNISON. And should be emphasized that the Gisela spirit is not more to consider institution, but rather representative of GRU and GIs, with the advantage to accept, in fact, all the GRU or NGI members. Then what we have in mind is that, for instance, in Mexico, we would like, as a project, we would like to consider that we are not collaborating with CUDI and UNAM, but we are collaborating with all Mexican institutions, part of the GRU, Mexican GRU, or hopefully in the future, the NGI, the Mexican NGI. Then the project is not restricted to these members, but to all the community and the institution in the country, especially in Mexico. Our work plan, we shall provide support, the cooperation services. This is developed in interpretation agreements with GN2 in Europe, CLARA, the NRES, and the NGI in Europe and Latin America. We shall work out with the CLARA transition team, which has been set up and included in Gisela, the model of sustainability for the infrastructure best adapted to CLARA and Latin American NREN environments. CLARA, on its side, shall identify the NREN that will be in charge of the operation and support of the infrastructure applying a business plan. Then, our basic duty, we have to ensure the proper access of Gisela user to the infrastructure resources. We support application developers and users over the whole process from deploying an application up to running in production. We organize training best adapted to each virtual research community. We support the use of the infrastructure and application-related service already developed in ILA2 and help users in the validation of this service in the context of their application. Then we have, this is a part of research, let's say, inside the project. We participate in the development of new services requested by the virtual research community and help in the test and validation of this service for user applications. Concerning the long-term sustainability, because we began in 2004, we have 3 projects, 2-year projects. Now we are in the middle of the last one, and we have to think about the future after Gisela. And then what we did in ILA2 is to propose a model for the long-term sustainability of the infrastructure in Latin America. This model has been exhaustively discussed with the CLARA management, and in fact Gisela as a mission is to ensure the future of the infrastructure, the long-term sustainability of this infrastructure in the Latin American continent. This is a 3-layer model with at the first level, the institution level, we have the resource centers. At the national level, we have the grid operation centers in parallel to what exists already on the network side with the NOC, the Network Operation Center. And at the continental level, under and the CLARA responsibility, we envisage to have the regional grid operation center in parallel with the network operation center. This model has been adapted and is being developed following a business plan by CLARA, and it will be hopefully presented by the end of the first year of the project in September. Concerning the infrastructure, we have a regional operation center, IGORC, which is already an official European Grid Initiative ROC. Needs that all operation service will continue to be supported. In particular, the GOG CDB, GIGUS, and all of these stuffs. Beside the EGI ROC, the Gisela infrastructure will be operated by several regional operation centers, for instance, UFRG in Brazil by the ROC IGAL, Uniandes in Colombia by the ROC LA, etc. Until CLARA and the Latin American NRENs take over from Gisela ROC LA case of application, whatever the domain. The Gisela infrastructure is built from 2 or 3 distinct middleware. We are not middleware oriented. Okay? Then, whatever the middleware you would like to use, you can collaborate with us and we. And for instance, G-Lite, which is a middleware currently used in Europe. Our grid, voluntary middleware, voluntary computing, which has been developed in Brazil, and OSG, which is mainly used in the States, American States, and used by high energy community in Latin America for some experiment at CERN. Here is the current infrastructure, at least the commitments in the description of work of the project. You can see that Mexico has committed with 198 CPUs and 2 terabytes of storage, and with 8 resource centers. The total we expect to reach at the end of the project about 2,700 CPUs and more than 100 terabytes of storage. This is committed. We are in the process of implementing this resource in the consortium. Gisela G-Lite sites are integrated in the infrastructure. We have currently this one with about 1,000 cores. There are also non-Gisela sites contributing to the virtual organization prod with the CERN, CSTCDI, ILA, UTFSM in Chile, IETA, and ICAM in Spain. Concerning the our grid, the voluntary middleware, we have about 400 cores in these different sites. As you can see, the project started in September last year, and now we have, for all virtual organizations supported by the project, we are reaching in April above 1,500,000 accumulated CPU hours. Here it is quite the same information, but monthly, all supported VO, but the month by month. We'll say that we are in a steady state of above 300,000 CPU hours per month. Here we have the accumulated load for integrated, but per virtual organization. As you can see, we have the production VO, which is a grid client, and other one is LSCB. It means what is using the main use of the infrastructure is still, as in Europe, in fact, high energy physics. Here, the same information, but by month and per virtual organization. Once again, you see that the high energy physics with ALICE, with the participation of the Mexican side, and SCB from Brazil are present, and the project OG also. Here we have only for the prod VO, the accumulated number of CPU hours. What we are doing is not only offering an infrastructure, but we are supporting the users, and we have organized training and dissemination events, training events, conferences, online support, etc., and dissemination material. And then we have the user support too. The Gisela has a comprehensive and user support tailored to the VRC. That we have not. We have obviously a general support, but we can focus a special support for special virtual research community. Training dissemination are very important, and in Lab 2 we train more than 1,000 people in Latin America who, in principle, should be able to redefine application now. Okay, here there are some example of application in the domain of lab science, research community, with the very, very important project in Europe, spanning Europe and Latin America, I would say worldwide, the WE-NMR. Okay, and we provide access and use the following tools: Telos and Arts, etc. Here, what's in fact we NMR is just a project and the community, DRC, to optimize and extend the use of the NMR and SACS research infrastructure through the implementation of E-infrastructure. Okay? Then they are using techniques of nuclear magnetic resonance and small angle X-ray scattering, and these tools are used in the context of the infrastructure. This is the largest virtual organization in life science. It's over 280 registered users and growing, more than 500 CPU years over the last 12 months. Okay, and what is very important, because G-Lite is not very user-friendly, this access to the facility is via web portals. It could explain the success of this project. We have another domain, for an example, Earth Science Virtual Research Community, and with applications it has been deployed on the ILA-2 infrastructure and are currently in the Zilla, Aeromod, BRAMS, CTC BRAMS, CAM, and WRF. Here, if you're interested, you have the Gisela portfolio. You can access this URL. You will have the list of, if I'm not wrong, of 78 applications with the links to the developers. From this application, 11 comes from Mexico, which is in fact the ILA-2 heritage. Okay, as you can see, you have several applications in several domains in Mexico: energy physics, obviously, computer science, mathematics, lab science, earth science, bioinformatics, etc. But the problem is not to have applications, is not to have an infrastructure. The main concern, our main concern, management, is the lack of intensive use of the Gisela infrastructure. If you have a very nice highway, but you have no car using the highway, it's an issue. Okay? It's not obvious to get people on board on the grid community. For instance, as an example, we had a very promising contact with industry during the Gisela kickoff meeting in San Luis Potosi, quite 1 year ago. No, 1 year, no, 6 months ago. But after that, nothing happened. Then we had a contact with enthusiastic persons in the room, and after that, nothing. That either there is no more interest, or they are afraid, or we, on our side, are guilty, no follow-up. Could be both. Here we have the Mexican applications currently ported on the Gisela infrastructure. We have Metadoc, grid-based screening method for pharmaceutical studies. Seismic Center, automatic real-time sending the signal generated in different regions. I think it will be presented by Jesus Cruz this afternoon. PSUPMP, a sequence of N-job on M-related parallel machines. LEMDIST FEA for the UNAM application, GRIF-SANT, GRAMBOSS. But, once again, in Mexico, as in quite worldwide, almost no activity concerning the use of the infrastructure. Then we have the application, they have been gridified, they could run, but it seems that people do not need grid to do their job, which is strange in some cases. Okay? For instance, I need only 2 users with almost 0 job submission from Mexico in 4 months. Fernando Almaran Jerez and Jérôme Verleyen. It's not a criticism, it's just a fact, an observation, and we have to take care of that. And to understand whether or not grid is important for the scientific or non-scientific community. To conclude, Gisela is young, 9 months old, but we have some concern from a managerial point of view. We are facing a slow implementation of the Clara business plan for long-term sustainability. The handover to Clara and then runs on the Gisela activity is another important thing. We have not enough use of the Gisela infrastructure. The third parties, 12 in total and 6 in Mexico, are not fully on board, and the implementation of the national grid initiatives is very slow and painful. However, we can say that we have excellent dissemination and outreach activities within the WP2 work package. Infrastructure and application-oriented services for user community is rather productive. For instance, the implementation and the use of direct tools developed in Marseille. Infrastructure operating satisfactorily, the W4. The support to the virtual resource community and the training is available. And we signed 6 important memoranda of understanding, and 2 are in progress. But more commitment and enthusiasm are needed. Here, as you can see in the footer, this slide is not a slide I prepared for this presentation. It was a slide I presented in the CUDI meeting in Monterrey, Mexico, 3 years ago, and where I put New Mexican institution could accompany UNAM and build the GRN Mexican. Good for ILA2, it was at that time, and hopefully for its science in Mexico. And at that time we had only UNAM in the project. Thanks and to this CUDI meeting in Monterrey, we succeeded to get more and more Mexican institutions on board, which has been really a success. And last but not the least, this is the second slide from this CUDI meeting in Monterrey 3 years ago. It was just what we were thinking at that time. Clara is built on the NRENs. This is just a fact. The Latin American Grid Initiative, LGI, is built on the National Grid Initiative, NGIs. Then, thinking about the future, about the long-term sustainability, about the survival of the science in Latin America, we could think of 2 scenarios. Either Clara and the LGI, the Latin American Grid Initiative, can coexist as sister international organization. Clara already exists, but LGI has to be created. Or, and that's what we proposed at the 3 years ago, what we propose is that both at the national and continental level, to have an integration of networks and infrastructure inside already existing bodies. Then what we propose at that time, and hopefully we are on the way to have some success. Let's hope help. We have to wait the end of Gisela, but we are working on that. What we propose is that grid and networks could coexist inside Clara. Thank you.